For many years now, my son has been keeping this nice flock of pigeons. When he first got the pigeons, I built them this house using a drainage tank that I bought on Amazon. This house has served the pigeons well for many years now, but at this point they're outgrowing this house. Plus, in all of the extreme weather and high winds and sun, the house is starting to suffer damage and it's beginning to fall apart. My first plan was to 3D print a series of connecting pigeon houses. This was a great idea, but the problem was that the print time on these was well over 100 hours for each pigeon house. And we just didn't have that kind of time. Just a few days later, 1/3 of the pigeon house fell away, exposing the baby pigeons inside to the elements. It was time to come up with a new design plan and get these pigeons a new house quickly. I made a quick trip to Lowe's and I bought myself a ton of stuff that I thought I could use to build these guys a new house. It's mostly a bunch of buckets, zip ties, and duct tape with a few tent stakes. I had a basic idea in my mind for a pigeon house system that could be expanded and more houses added to it over time. Now it was just a matter of putting it all together to see if my idea worked in reality. A little tip here I've learned over the years. If you have trouble drilling in plastic, run your drill bit backwards. Makes everything work better. I had to drill a bunch of these large holes, and it was a bit of a pain, but as I kept doing it, I got better at it, and in the end, it was pretty easy. All of these lids form the doors into the pigeon houses. Now I just need to add something that the pigeons can land on. This is what I bought all the tent stakes for. They seem just about the right size for a pigeon landing perch. After getting all of these doors with perches finished up, the next step was to create the central column that all of these pigeon houses are supported from. It's designed so that it will slide over the large PVC pipe that I have coming up out of the ground. After drilling the large holes through half the buckets vertically, now it was time to put some smaller holes on the side pigeon house buckets so that I could zip tie the pigeon house buckets to the center column of buckets. Might sound a little confusing, but it's all put together. I think it'll make sense. So basically the entire structure is made out of buckets and zip ties. It's easy, it's fast to build, and it seems like it's going to work really well. I decided to add a small drain hole to each of the pigeon houses. That way if any moisture or rain gets inside, it will have a place to drain out. So with this design, I'm able to get 4 pigeon houses for each stacked bucket vertically. The next step is to drill a few holes and zip tie these buckets together vertically so that I can keep stacking extra layers of pigeon houses on top of this. Here you can see that I used a bucket lid as a guide for the large central support column that this whole thing is going to slide over. Now I just have to drill a few more holes and zip tie this guide in place between the buckets. The central support column only extends up through the first couple buckets, just to support it and give it something to hold the whole pigeon house assembly in place. At this point, things seemed a little wobbly, so I decided to add more zip ties at all the corners and points between the buckets to brace everything up stronger. Now it was time to just repeat the process, add a couple more layers, and finish this pigeon house up. It's a good thing I purchased a lot of zip ties. At this point, the entire structure started to brace off itself and become a nice solid assembly. With the main structure finished, it was now time to go up and deal with the old pigeon house and somehow safely evacuate the babies and get them ready for their new home. On closer inspection, we realized there were a lot of baby pigeons inside this old pigeon house. The kids took good care of them while their old house was demolished and the new construction was put into place. I hate to think about what would have happened to these guys if I wasn't able to throw together a new pigeon house so quickly. Even wild birds had taken up residence in the old house. Our goal was to try to save them all. After carefully rescuing all the baby birds, it was time to bring in the new pigeon house. Out with the old and in with the new. It was time to get these houses ready for the pigeons. I really like the way that this assembly rotates on the central shaft and makes it easy to inspect each house individually. It was time to put the front doors onto these houses. The tent stakes work great for the perches, and I really like the way the bucket handles can come up and form a support for the perch. It's all coming together so nicely. These type of family projects are so much fun. You make a lot of great memories together and really learn with practical hands-on experience how to solve problems.
On the road, I've been away for far too long, but now I'm on my way back home. I hear the west winds calling out my name. They're telling me to head your way, down your road and past your gates. Keep your eyes on the horizon. I was looking to belong when I'd already found my home.
Now came the hardest part. I sat and watched for hours, hoping that the parent birds would just fly and land on this house, but they would fly past it, but they wouldn't land on it. They seemed upset that I had replaced their old house with this alien-looking monstrosity. But I had a lot of patience. The baby birds were chirping from inside the new houses, and I figured that given some time, the parent birds would accept it and start to use it again. But for now, it was just a waiting game. I decided to leave them alone for a few hours and go eat lunch. Later I decided I should go back and have a look, and boy am I glad that I did. I didn't even notice the danger at first, but do you see this? Somehow this snake worked his way up onto the new pigeon house, hearing all the babies in distress inside, and was slithering around the top of these new houses looking for baby birds for lunch. How do you think this guy got up here? He's listening and sneaking.
Big snake. Big snake. Yeah.
I want to watch and see if he goes down and how, if he can somehow climb that hole. I doubt it. But where could he have come from?
He must have climbed up there. Well, he could have come up the ladder and reached across.
Oh, it's a nice one too. We need to move the ladder. I don't like it.
No wonder the birds aren't coming back.
Yeah, seriously. You want him, Patrick? He's really cool.
Yeah, so it's no wonder the parent birds were not accepting this new house. Not only was it strange, but it had danger around it. I waited a couple more hours to see if the parent birds would land on the new house, and they were avoiding it at all cost. So at this point, I decided I needed to get creative. I took the top cover from their old house and put it on top of the new blue buckets so that it would at least look familiar to them. And then I took to the skies with my drone. The plan was to find the locations that the pigeons were landing at and then chase them off. I wasn't going to let them rest anywhere unless it was on the new pigeon house. I was really worried that the parent birds might spend the night away from the new pigeon house, leaving the babies alone through the night, and also increasing the likelihood that the parent birds might reject the new house altogether. Every time they would fly over the new house, I was so hopeful that they would just drop out of the sky and land on it, but at this point they were still too fearful of it. It's a good thing that I had 4 batteries for my drone, because I kept using up battery pack after battery pack trying to coax these pigeons to accept their new house. The pigeons started to get more comfortable flying in proximity to their new house. This made me hopeful that they were starting to get a little exhausted, and before long maybe they would land on the new place. And then it finally happened. They landed for the first time on their new home.
On the road, I've been away for far too long. But now I'm on my way back home. I hear the west winds calling out my name. They're telling me to head your way, down your road and past your gates. Keep your eyes on the horizon. I was looking to belong when I'd already found my home. Before the setting sun, for you to fall into my arms, the place I call my home. I was looking to belong when I already found